What's up, guys? Hill Josh here. You might have seen my video on TikTok saying to ask me your wrestling related questions. Well, here's my answer. It's time for my first Q&A. Before we get into the answers to the questions that you guys have asked, I'm going to ask you guys to check me out on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok if you're not already on my TikTok, my Twitch, and also join the Discord. All the links are going to be down below. To make it real simple, I'm Hill Josh across the board. Most of the places, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, you'll find me at Hill Josh with the underscore at the end. If you want to find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Hill Josh, no underscore. Then I'll also have the link to my Discord where we talk wrestling, we share funny memes, we talk fishing, sports, you name it, we talk it in there. We share awesome gaming clips. You'll know when I'm going to go live on Twitch there. So also join my Discord. Okay, so now for the Q&A. You guys asked your questions, and here are my answers. So the first question we got says, when did you start liking wrestling? So liking wrestling, the earliest I could say that I could really say I watched it and like remember liking what I was seeing was probably back in the late 90s, or mid 90s I should say, late 1995, early 96. Growing up, I was watching WWF Raw, which is just a big RAW set with no like Titantron, just at RAW. I think they had a screen on the A though, now that I think about it. But I would watch Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and Owen Hart and 1-2-3 Kid, Razor Ramon, Diesel, Undertaker, and then we had a lot of other we had a lot of gimmicks back then, like Duke the Dumpster Drosy and stuff like that. Dr. Isaac Yankum, DDM, he was a dentist, and a lot of job gimmicks back then, Doink the Clown and stuff like that. So I that's my earliest memories of wrestling. So I always liked wrestling ever since I was little. I was probably 4 or 5 then. So that's when I started liking it. Growing up, my whole family watched wrestling, even for them, back before I was born. My brother watched it before I was born. My mom, my dad, my grandparents, my aunt. So it's been in my family, so it was easy for me to just gravitate towards it. So I've always loved wrestling and liked it and watched it at an early age. So that's how that all started for me. So, and then on to the next question, who is my favorite wrestler? So that one's pretty easy to answer. So if I had to break it up though, I'm going to break it up, kind of go in a little detail here. So my favorite wrestler of all time is definitely Shawn Michaels. Grew up, like I was saying, in the 90s, watching wrestling, 95, 96, peak Shawn Michaels, feud with Owen Hart, leading up to his feud with Bret Hart. And eventually going into DX, going heel, and he's my favorite even before DX, but Shawn was always my go-to guy back then. So that's my all-time favorite wrestler. Just the moves he would pull off, his charisma was the thing that drew me in. Just his personality, he seemed like the cool guy, you know what I mean? Like, he was the cool guy who could kick everyone's butt in WWE. So that was my all-time favorite. If I had to pick a current favorite in today's times, that's really, I think, way more difficult to pick in today's wrestling world. There's just so many promotions that are having shows on YouTube or on Twitch that you're seeing all these other wrestlers or wherever, on other TV channels. So it's a tough pick because you get so much content. There's so much wrestling right now. But if I had to pick, it's definitely going to be AJ Styles. To me, that's just the guy right now that has the whole package, in my opinion. He has the charisma, he has everything, the in-ring talent, he could talk, he's just perfect across the board. He could play a heel, he could play a babyface, Right now, I think he could go to we've seen he's been in New Japan, he could perform there and be a star. He could be an Impact and be a star. He could go, now we've seen it, people were saying he wasn't going to make it in WWE before he had even left TNA, and look at him now. Like, he's been one of the longest champions in WWE history the last 10 years. So to me, that's the current top guy. That's my current favorite. If I had to pick for the women's division, it's definitely Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch has transcended the sport, I think, at this point. She's really getting to that point to where she's transcending it. She's just the one that has it all as well. She has the whole package, and she was someone that always flew under the radar. Even to me, I wasn't the biggest fan of her when the whole 4 Horsewomen came up. It was always, to me, Charlotte was the one, or Sasha, and Bayley I didn't know too much about. But after a while, then Bayley grew on me, and I still had Becky under the bus. You know what I mean? I still underestimated her, and now to see where she is and to see that it isn't just storyline basis. She's literally transcending the business at this point. She's getting to that status where she could just be on top. You know what I mean? So if I had to pick between that, like for women's division, currently on my all-time fave right now is definitely Becky. If I had to pick for current now for men, it's AJ Styles, definitely. Don't get me wrong, I love AEW, I love New Japan, I love ROH, I love NWA. I watch a lot of other promotions, but those are my picks. I mean, we could debate it all the time, but that's what I'm sticking with right now. What is my favorite WWE game? That's a really good question. I actually didn't see that one until just now. My favorite WWE game? Whew. So I had almost every SmackDown game. I mean, I still call them the SmackDown games because that's what they started out as. I had a PlayStation, the first one, and I had gotten SmackDown, and then SmackDown 2 Know Your Role, and then Just Bring It, and Here Comes Pain, and then it just took off from there, or Shut Your Mouth. I don't remember the order, but I had all of those, man, all the way up to when it became SmackDown vs. Raw, and then that's when I didn't have every single one after that. But if I had to pick, and then it's hard too because I also had a 64 with No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000, and I also played games on the Sega. I played WWF Raw on the Sega Genesis. I also played the Royal Rumble game on the Genesis. I loved WWF In Your House. I think that was on the Sega Saturn that I played that. WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game. Like, there's so many good games, and I know some of you are younger and may not have seen all these games or stuff like that, but man, this is a tough. If you want to go into detail, probably the best detail game that I enjoyed was definitely Here Comes the Pain. It was on the PlayStation 2, I believe, and it had a great story, had the career mode, had the GM mode. It was just such a detailed game. Like, it's been a long time since I played it or even like looked at game footage of it, but to me that has to be the best game. I know a lot of people are going to say No Mercy for the 64. Also a pretty good game, has some great stuff, but I think Here Comes the Pain definitely is going to be the top ranked all-time wrestling game. And it's a game that anyone could pick up, even if you're not a wrestling fan, and it's easy to play. So, and it just was fun. The game mechanics worked perfect. It was just a great game, and it wasn't hassle compared to today's games with all these updates and buggy games. But back then it was just like the perfect wrestling game. So I think that's my all-time favorite. Okay, here's a good one. What is your favorite WWE pay-per-view of all time? Yikes, man! You guys are throwing these at me today. My favorite pay-per-view of all time. This is gonna be for me, I guess. This is for me, so this is a biased thing. I know there's probably tons of pay-per-views that blew this out of the water, but my all-time favorite that I could go back to and watch over and over and over, even if it's not that good to everyone else, is WrestleMania 12. Like I was saying earlier, that's my favorite. Shawn is my all-time favorite, and that one is like one of my earliest memories of like when Shawn won. Like today, I could go back and watch the 16-minute Iron Man match between Bret and Shawn and just be in awe. It starts off great. It actually, what match was it recently that reminded me of it? And I loved how it was methodical. It wasn't really in-your-face action. I think it was Balor and who did he face? Balor and the Gargano. Oh man, dude, that was such a fucking fantastic match. Like the matches before it were a really faster pace, and then Balor and Gargano just like, did a lot of not a lot, they did the chain wrestling, they did a lot of the actual mat work. And then from there it took off. It wasn't a spot fest until, it got spotty, but it wasn't, what people will call a spot fest. And don't get me wrong, I love spot fest. I'm a Young Bucks fan, so. But I just loved that it was a callback, and it reminded me of the Shawn Bret match. And I was like, fuck, man, I loved it, because that was a 60-minute match. And it just had a start. It played out and told a great story in the ring, and so did Balor and Gargano. So that match just seals that pay-per-view for me to making it my favorite pay-per-view. But on top of that, we also have the Hollywood Backlot Brawl between Piper and Goldust. I actually was watching, I don't know if it was the AEW Unrestricted podcast with Goldust or Dustin Rhodes talking about the Hollywood Backlot Brawl recently, but it was a great story he told about it. So you got that match on there. You had Taker versus Diesel, which was the two big powerhouses going at it. So that was a hyped up match, The Return of the Ultimate Warrior, he squashed Triple H. You want to talk about a berry. And then we also had Stone Cold before he was Stone Cold, and he was just the $1 Million Chap against Savio Vega. Overall, for me, it was just a solid card, and it's just probably the nostalgic factor, but I love that pay-per-view. So that's my favorite pay-per-view of all time. And there's others that are close to it, but to me, it just holds that nostalgic value, and that's what made me love wrestling, was that pay-per-view. My earliest memory. So WrestleMania 12 is my favorite all-time WWE pay-per-view. Oh, here's an interesting one. If you could wrestle anyone, who would it be? Growing up, I always had the dream to actually turn into a professional wrestler, and to the point to where I almost got into wrestling in middle school, and I ended up not doing it. I don't remember why, I just didn't. But I always wanted to wrestle Shawn Michaels. That was the guy. That was the guy that you needed to wrestle. I mean, and it seems like today's generation of wrestlers say the guy that got him into it was either Shawn Michaels, Eddie Guerrero, Jeff Hardy, those guys. You know what I mean? They all had that same it factor about them. So to me, it would have been those three guys. I would have wanted to wrestle Shawn Michaels, Eddie Guerrero, and Jeff Hardy. Like, those are the three guys that you're gonna get those insane matches from. At least growing up, that's to me how it was. And so those are definitely the three I'd love to wrestle if I ever became a professional wrestler. Okay, here's another great one. Your favorite match in WWE and not in WWE. So I had said how probably one of my favorite matches of all time was Shawn versus Bret. But if I had to say, like, my favorite match in WWE, it's okay. This is gonna be tough because my favorite pay-per-view, like, it's my favorite match as in terms of like a great match. It's gonna be different from Shawn and Bret. My favorite match of all time is Bret and Shawn, just because it's that, like I said earlier, nostalgic factor. But if I had to pick the best match that I've seen in WWE when it came to wrestling and storytelling, one that was recently that I'll pick, and I'm not gonna say this is all time. I'm gonna pick a few. Is gonna be Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne at TakeOver Chicago. Ha! Dude, I could go back. That's another match I could go back to, and it was amazing. I had barely knew who they were just from the UK tour that they had just did, or the UK tournament that they had just did. So that was the rematch, I believe. Bate had already won the tournament. But man, that was such a great match, and it just told such a beautiful story of the underdog for Tyler Bate against Pete Dunne, who was willing to do anything to win, and they told that story perfect. And it put on a great match, showing that Pete Dunne could wrestle. He wasn't just a chicken shit heel. He actually could go out there and make you fearful in the ring. So the fact that they made him a credible heel, and not just that, oh, I'm gonna cheat to win, but the fact he'll do anything, and the fact that he could probably kick your butt in the ring, yeah, that made that match fantastic. The storytelling was great. The whole match, all the moves were fantastic. They pulled out some crazy freaking moves. So that's probably one of my more recent. But also I'd have to pick Cena versus Punk, Money in the Bank 2011. The story of Punk leaving with the WWE title after the Pint Bomb promo, that whole story was freaking gold. At the time, CM Punk, of course, was everyone's favorite, including my own. So that was another top match. So those are two matches in WWE. But my favorite matches, I would have to say not in WWE. I'm going to name two as well. Currently, the recent one would be Naito versus Okada from this year's new Wrestle Kingdom. People are not going to like that. I know that because a lot of people are, including myself, overall, probably the better moves and actual wrestling match was probably Ibushi and Okada from the night before. But the storytelling from Naito and Okada is what drew me in. I'm a big storytime fan in wrestling. And so that match, having Naito hit the Stardust, what is it called? The Stardust Pain or Starship Pain or whatever it was called. Gosh, I'm a bad New Japan fan, but he hit his old finishing move. Actually hit it. He didn't get the pin, but he actually hit it for the first time in fucking years. And just the whole story to that was fantastic, and the match was fantastic, and I love New Japan Wrestling. So that is one of the matches I like outside of WWE. If I had to pick another one that maybe is more of an American promotion, AEW, I'll go ahead and pick an AEW match. We'll go with, gosh, they've had so many great matches. Probably Darby Allin versus Jon Moxley. People are gonna be like, wait, that's your favorite match from AEW? We've had the great tag team match. You know, that tag team match is great with Kenny Omega and Adam Page versus the Young Bucks. But I'm gonna have to say one of my favorite matches was definitely Moxley and Allin on Dynamite. It was like one of the first Dynamites, like the first month of Dynamite, and it was a fucking great match. I just recommend you just watch that match. Like, everyone's gonna say the tag team match, but I have to say Darby Allin versus Moxley is probably one of my all-time favorite matches right now from AEW. You could go back and watch that match, and it was just, Darby Allin has that Jeff Hardy factor, like that. What is he gonna do? And he's such, you don't know much about him at the same time. He's just so intriguing to watch. So I definitely choose those two matches there. Alright, here's a simple one for me to answer. Who is your favorite AEW and WWE Superstar? WWE, I've already answered that, but I'll say it again right now. AJ Styles. I think he has the whole package. He's the guy that he just has it. He has everything right now, and he's popping off in WWE. He went from TNA to New Japan, and he was a star in every promotion he's been to. You know, and he had great matches everywhere. And I think he's the guy in WWE right now that just has everything, and I love watching everything he does. I'm excited for him versus Undertaker this weekend. Under these circumstances, I'm still pretty excited for this Boneyard match. It's something that we haven't heard of before, and it's going to be presented to us differently. So I'm excited to see where that goes. They're just my dog. And if I had to pick an AEW superstar, it's tough, but I'm gonna go with Mox. I think the way he's changed it from being Ambrose to Mox, which he was in the past Moxley, but he was able to bring everything together from what he's experienced in WWE, going through their whole developmental program to now, and using everything he's learned, and he's not the flashiest wrestler, but he's also the most well-rounded, I think, overall, look at the matches he had with Omega recently, where they had that death match. And then he's also put on some bangers like he did with Darby Allin, which I said earlier is probably my favorite match outside of WWE, or one of my favorite matches right now outside of WWE that happened. Because Moxley was able to bring everything he learned over the years, and with Ambrose and being out before when he was originally Moxley, and put it all together now, and it's just a phenomenal character. And to be honest, I kind of like the way he's presented in New Japan a bit more. But man, is he a star? I can't believe WWE was able to let him walk like they did. Wow, they screwed up with him big time. Simple question, and this one I already kind of answered. Do I like Jeff Hardy? I fucking love Jeff Hardy, man. He was one of the guys that, like I said, has that it factor. Guys kind of always hit many bumps in the road with a lot of stuff he struggled with. DUIs and stuff like that. I'm not a perfect person either. It happens. I've also struggled with my demons, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But I love Jeff Hardy. Great performer. And great wrestler. Just all around. Was one of my favorites growing up after Shawn Michaels had originally retired. So definitely love Jeff Hardy. This one, do I think WrestleMania will be canceled? Well, WrestleMania has already been taped. So WrestleMania is not going to be live Saturday and Sunday on the WWE Network. What I mean by that is that those matches aren't happening as we're seeing them. They have been pre-recorded. So they got filmed last Wednesday and Thursday. And so if you hadn't seen my previous TikTok videos, Roman Reigns had pulled out of his matches because there was some wrestlers who showed up to the Performance Center sick and stuff like that. But so WrestleMania is taking place. It won't be canceled. It's just not going to be in front of a crowd, and it won't be live, technically. It will be pre-taped, edited together, and then presented to us as almost like a movie kind of thing, if you will. So it will not be canceled. Who would I like to see rise to the top? If I had to see someone that rise to the top right now, I would definitely be Aleister Black. So when Aleister Black was in NXT, I think they presented him perfectly. He ain't trying to have people knock on some really silly door or anything like that. He was just, I'm gonna kick your ass. And that was Aleister Black, and I could literally kick you. And so he was just a badass presented just like he just wanted to fight, almost like he was an MMA fighter kind of. So I'm just here to fight and be the best. And it seems like that's a lot of people's problem with wrestling now, is that everyone's, I want to be the best. Well, I think the way he was presented, it was different than the plain babyface. He was just there to fight. Kind of like Stone Cold back in the day. I'm just here to fight. I'm here to get my paycheck, fight, and win, and be the best. And that's how he was presented in NXT, and now in the main roster, he's more of a, I don't know, they seem they want to do something with him. He has a match this weekend against Bobby Lashley, but I don't know. I'm hoping that he could get up on top, because I think he's very underused or underrated right now. What is my favorite Edge match? That's a great question, since Edge is going to be returning to a single action match this weekend. If I had to pick my favorite Edge match, it's not going to be a singles match. It's going to be the TLC match from WrestleMania 17. I know that's not exactly the answer you probably were looking for when it came to Edge, but the match overall was just fantastic, and he's involved in it. The first ever TLC, it's actually not the first, the second ever TLC was at WrestleMania 17. Oh my gosh, that is the match. That is the TLC match. If you haven't seen that, please go back and watch that. Right. And then I saved this question for last because I still kind of don't really have an answer for it, but what was the most difficult match to watch? It can be brutal or it can just be very bad. Wow, gosh. Sometimes it's hard to pinpoint a bad match when you're seeing it live until later down the road, you know what I mean? But, bad match are something difficult to watch. So it's going to probably be more something towards WWE. And this is more in hindsight. It was something difficult to watch. I wouldn't say it was at the time because I was younger. But in hindsight, the Katie Vick angle with Kane and Triple H, where Triple H had a Kane mask and they were in a funeral home with he was attending Katie Vick's funeral, which was like Kane's childhood girlfriend or something like that. And he went to the funeral parlor with the cane mask on, and he like started kissing her and like laid on top of her in the casket. Like, in hindsight, that was very bad, but growing up, I was like, to be honest, I kind of don't remember watching it live, but I know I was watching every Monday, so my reaction back then was probably like, ha ha ha, this is crazy. But now I'm like, oh, that was bad. That was very bad. If I really want to go the match route, definitely, gosh, it's a hard pick on the match, but, you know what, I don't even pick a match. I'm gonna say another difficult thing to watch was, there was a pay-per-view, and it had all kinds of legend wrestlers, like in the late 90s, and it's really popular with Botchamania right now, or not right now, but it's like in the Botchamania, opening screen, and it's, when Jake Roberts did his 21 promo where he said, you want to play 21? I got 22. You got ace and ace? I got 2 of those too. That was difficult, especially now, seeing where he is now and stuff, but whew, like, there was so much difficult stuff to watch. The Katie Vick and then that Jake promo, probably the toughest things to watch in all of wrestling that I've seen. Guys, thank you for all the questions that you gave me on my TikTok video. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'm going to be posting more videos here. I'm going to be posting highlights from my Twitch. I'm going to be posting more wrestling related videos such as a Q&A or reviews on WrestleMania. That's probably going to be my next video, is a review on both nights of WrestleMania. So subscribe to the YouTube channel for all future content. Follow me, like I said earlier, on all my social media. All the links are down below. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will be posting again on TikTok when I'll be doing a Q&A. So thank you guys, and if you have any video ideas or any recommendations for me, please go ahead and put them in the comments down below. I am all ears and open to the recommendations. Peace, guys.